B&B spoilers, will Thomas Forrester come back to romance Sally Spectra? The bold and the beautiful spoilers say that this certainly would disrupt the system in more ways than one. Clearly, we are talking about the possibility of Thomas Forrester, Matthew Atkinson, returning to this fictional town of Los Angeles just so he could romance Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope. The bold and the beautiful spoilers, will Thomas Forrester come back to romance Sally Spectra? The bold and the beautiful spoilers indicate there's a chance that Sally might come back if Eric Forrester, John McCook, calls her to help him start his new fashion house. As many fans of the show are aware of by now, Ridge Forrester, Torsten K., is doing everything he can to push his father out the door so he can be in complete control of Forrester Creations. That's why there's a chance that Eric might bring Sally back, which of course will bring Thomas Forrester back in the fold. And while there's no doubt that Thomas loves his father Ridge very much, he's more likely to side with his grandfather Eric, especially after he sees the injustice that he's been dealing with at Forrester Creations. The bold and the beautiful spoilers, what's next for Thomas Forrester? This entire storyline might even bring Sally and Thomas back together again. And while that shouldn't become a problem for anyone, it will. Because if there's anything that we've learned about the Logan sisters and especially Hope Logan, Annika Noel, it's that they always want what they can't have. This new fashion house is going to make an impact on just about everyone. Now, whether or not Thomas actually comes back home from Paris remains to be seen, but seeing how his family really needs him right now, there's a good chance that he'll be back sooner rather than later. Watch this space for more. It goes without saying that the bold and the beautiful fans will simply have to tune in each and every day to find out what will happen next. B&B airs weekdays on the CBS network. Check your local listings for times. In the meantime, drop us a line with your thoughts in our comments section below. The Unforgettable Fire of Thomas and Sally, a legacy of lost potential. In the vibrant, cutthroat world of Los Angeles fashion, few soap opera pairings have ignited as fiercely and then burned out as tragically as Thomas Forrester and Sally Spectra, the couple fans affectionately branded Thowley. The very question of Thomas Forrester returning to romance Sally Spectra is not just a spoiler debate, it's a lament for one of the bold and the beautiful's most dynamic, star-crossed relationships of the past decade. It represents a hunger for a storyline that delivered on its promise of a captivating rivalry turned epic love, only to be abruptly discarded for the sake of revisiting well-worn territory. Today, the sad news is not about a sudden, dramatic on-screen death, but the slow, painful death of possibility for this beloved duo. With Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, now firmly established on The Young and the Restless, her character having been transplanted to Genoa City following her exit from B&B, the likelihood of a genuine, long-term romantic revival with Thomas, Matthew Atkinson, is practically non-existent. We are left with the wistful memory of what could have been a powerful, engaging love story that dared to break the Forrester-Logan-Spencer monotony. The allure of an impossible pairing. What made Thomas and Sally so intoxicating? It was a classic Romeo and Juliet setup draped in haute couture. Thomas, the crown prince of Forrester Creations, and Sally, the feisty, ambitious granddaughter determined to resurrect the rival, underdog house of Spectra Fashions. The rivalry, their initial interactions were defined by their fashion house feud. He was the established elite, she was the scrappy, sometimes conniving, upstart. This tension provided a delicious, natural friction. The chemistry, actors Pearson Fode, the Thomas at the time, and Courtney Hope had undeniable, sizzling on-screen chemistry. Their connection felt organic and real, elevating the story beyond typical soap opera tropes. The underdog story, viewers rooted for Sally and Spectra Fashions. Her fight against the Forrester machine, often led by the ruthless Bill Spencer, made their love feel like a revolutionary act, a true alliance against the establishment. Their romance blossomed amidst design thefts, corporate espionage, and passionate, stolen kisses. Thomas saw beyond Sally's outlandish disguises and desperate measures. He saw her talent, her heart, and her deep-seated desire to honor her family's legacy. He became her biggest champion, even investing his own inheritance to save Spectra Fashions. For Thomas, Sally represented an escape from the toxic manipulations of his own family, particularly the constant push and pull with Hope and his mother, Taylor. With Sally, Thomas was good, grounded, and truly happy. The tragedy of the breakup, Bill's betrayal. The initial breakup of Fowley remains a sore point for fans because it was orchestrated by one of the show's biggest villains, Bill Spencer, Don Diamant, and based on a cruel lie. Bill, obsessed with demolishing the Spectra building for a skyscraper, concocted a scheme that led to the couple's separation. The lie: Bill falsely told Thomas that his ex-girlfriend, Caroline Spencer, was dying of a rare illness. The sacrifice: Thomas, believing his son Douglas needed his mother in her final days, felt he had to leave Sally and move to New York to be with Caroline. The heartbreak: Sally, in a testament to her love, selflessly told Thomas to go, understanding his duty as a father. She believed she was sacrificing her love for the greater good of his son. When Thomas finally returned to LA and the truth about Bill's lie was revealed, that Caroline was perfectly healthy, the betrayal was devastating. While they briefly reunited, the foundation was irrevocably damaged. It was a clear narrative signal: this groundbreaking couple would not be allowed to thrive, the second breakup and the final nail in the coffin. The nail in the coffin for Fowley came not from Bill, but from the writer's decision to pivot Thomas back to his obsession with Hope Logan, Annika Noel. The character was fundamentally changed, descending into a dark spiral of manipulation and mental instability, which included the baby swap secret, Thomas's involvement in the plot to hide that Hope's baby was alive and being raised by Steffi. The mannequin madness, his severe mental break, including a fixation on a Hope mannequin. The obsession with Hope, his repeated, manipulative attempts to win Hope back, often using his son Douglas as a pawn. This darker, more twisted version of Thomas was a complete abandonment of the loving, supportive man he was with Sally. His focus was entirely on reclaiming the destiny with Hope, a path that has dominated his storyline for years, exhausting many viewers. Meanwhile, Sally's character was given storylines that culminated in her faking a fatal illness to win back Wyatt Spencer, a move that was widely criticized by fans who felt it was out of character for the ambitious, honest when it mattered Spectra heiress. This downward trajectory eventually led to actress Courtney Hope's character making the jump to the young and the restless. Why the sad news lingers today? The sad news is that the magic is locked in the past. While some fans, seeing Thomas temporarily off-screen or returning with a new perspective, as is often the case in late 2025 spoilers of the breakup, Bill's betrayal. The initial breakup of Fowley remains a sore point for fans because it was orchestrated by one of the show's biggest villains, Bill Spencer, Don Diamant, and based on a cruel lie. Bill, obsessed with demolishing the Spectra building for a skyscraper, concocted a scheme that led to the couple's separation. The lie: Bill falsely told Thomas that his ex-girlfriend, Caroline Spencer, was dying of a rare illness. The sacrifice: Thomas, believing his son Douglas needed his mother in her final days, felt he had to leave Sally and move to New York to be with Caroline. The heartbreak: Sally, in a testament to her love, selflessly told Thomas to go, understanding his duty as a father. She believed she was sacrificing her love for the greater good of his son. When Thomas finally returned to LA and the truth about Bill's lie was revealed, that Caroline was perfectly healthy, the betrayal was devastating. While they briefly reunited, the foundation was irrevocably damaged. It was a clear narrative signal: this groundbreaking couple would not be allowed to thrive. The second breakup and the final nail in the coffin. The nail in the coffin for Fowley came not from Bill, but from the writer's decision to pivot Thomas back to his obsession with Hope Logan, Annika Noel. The character was fundamentally changed, descending into a dark spiral of manipulation and mental instability, which included the baby swap secret, Thomas's involvement in the plot to hide that Hope's baby was alive and being raised by Steffi. The mannequin madness, his severe mental break, including a fixation on a Hope mannequin. The obsession with Hope, his repeated, manipulative attempts to win Hope back, often using his son Douglas as a pawn. This darker, more twisted version of Thomas was a complete abandonment of the loving, supportive man he was with Sally. His focus was entirely on reclaiming the destiny with Hope, a path that has dominated his storyline for years, exhausting many viewers. Meanwhile, Sally's character was given storylines that culminated in her faking a fatal illness to win back Wyatt Spencer, a move that was widely criticized by fans who felt it was out of character for the ambitious, honest when it mattered Spectra heiress. This downward trajectory eventually led to actress Courtney Hope's character making the jump to the young and the restless. Why the sad news lingers today. The sad news is that the magic is locked in the past. While some fans, seeing Thomas temporarily off-screen or returning with a new perspective, as is often the case in late 2025 spoilers, still hold out hope, the reality is stark. Sally is on YNR, Courtney Hope is now tied to a different show and a different love interest, currently Nick Newman/Adam Newman. A BNB return would only be a brief crossover, not a full-time, front-burner romance with Thomas. Thomas's focus is Hope. Despite his hiatus, Thomas's primary narrative fuel remains his fraught relationship with Hope. The writers seem intent on keeping him tethered to the Thope drama, regardless of fan fatigue. The narrative damage, both characters have been through so much, making a clean slate reunion difficult. Sally's fake illness and Thomas's extreme manipulations would require a monumental amount of forgiveness and rewriting to get them back to the dynamic, supportive couple they once were. In conclusion, the question, will Thomas Forrester come back to romance Sally Spectra, is answered with a heavy heart, no, not in any meaningful, lasting way. We are left to mourn the loss of a truly fresh, engaging, and powerful love story, a vibrant flame extinguished too soon. Sally fans must content themselves with watching Thomas circle back to familiar territory while Sally builds a new life in Genoa City, forever wondering what might have happened if Bill Spencer hadn't interfered, and if the writers had been brave enough to let the underdog couple win. It's a sad day indeed for Sally shippers, as the dream of a passionate Spectra/Forrester alliance remains a beautiful, bittersweet memory. The world of the bold and the beautiful is one of high fashion, intense drama, and, most importantly, legendary romance. But sometimes, the most heartbreaking stories are the ones about the couples we loved and lost, the ones that burned bright but were tragically extinguished by the soap gods. Today, we're talking about one such pairing whose ghost still haunts the halls of Forrester Creations, Thomas Forrester and Sally Spectra, the original, true version. The question echoes across the soap opera landscape, a lament from shippers who refuse to let go. Will Thomas Forrester come back to romance Sally Spectra? The sad news, the very sad news that all Tally, or Somas, depending on your preference, fans must face today, is a deep-seated truth about the nature of daytime dramas. The original, undeniable chemistry and potential that defined Thomas and Sally is gone, possibly forever, trapped in the past of the show's canon. The unbreakable bonds and the sad reality. The dynamic between Thomas Forrester, originally played by Pearson Fode, now by Matthew Atkinson, who has recently returned to the show, and the fierce, feisty, and deeply misunderstood Sally Spectra too, played by Courtney Hope, was lightning in a bottle. It was a classic Romeo and Juliet setup, a Forrester heir falling for the rival Spectra rebel. Their story had everything: corporate espionage, a desperate fight to save a beloved fashion house, a fake terminal illness drama, and a passion that felt genuinely earned. Why the hope still lingers? Undeniable chemistry, their scenes crackled. They were evenly matched, both in wit and ambition. The underdog factor, Sally was always fighting for her place, and Thomas, at his best, was her champion. It was a story about passion over corporate loyalty. The incomplete ending, their breakup was messy, wrapped up in a fake illness plot that felt unsuited to the power of their true love story. Thomas moved on, and so did Sally, literally, to Genoa City on the young and the restless. And here is the heart of today's very sad news. 1. The recast and reimagined Thomas. The Thomas Forrester who has returned to Los Angeles is Matthew Atkinson's version, a character who, while popular, has been defined by his obsession with Hope Logan. His current return, as of late 2025/early 2026 spoilers, is centered around his family's drama, specifically supporting his mother, Taylor, and confronting Brooke. The Thomas who loved Sally has been overwritten by the Thomas who desperately chases Hope. 2. The Sally Spectra problem. Actress Courtney Hope, who is the only Sally Spectra fans recognize from that era, is a contract player on The Young and the Restless, BNB sister soap, as the same character. She has a deep, ongoing storyline with Adam Newman and Nick Newman in Genoa City. For Tally to happen, BNB would need her to come back, which is highly unlikely with her current commitment to YNR. While there are occasional crossovers, a permanent return or a long-term romance arc would require a massive shift in two major daytime shows' plans, a true pipe dream. Thomas's return. The recent news of Thomas's return has been exciting for fans of Thomas, but not because of Sally. The snippets and spoilers confirm he's back with a fury, confronting Brooke and Ridge amidst Eric Forrester's heartbreaking forced retirement storyline. This Thomas is a man on a mission, fueled by a desire to protect his mother and family, and possibly still nursing a wound from Hope's final rejection. The sheer sadness lies in knowing that this return, which brings the character back into the fold, only highlights the impossibility of the Tally reunion. He's back, but he's occupied. His emotional arc is still tied up with the Logans and Forresters, not the vibrant, rebellious Spectra family. Memo: a note on lost potential. When Thomas, then played by Pearson Fode, and Sally first connected, it felt like the show was finally giving a new generation its own legacy couple, free from the endless cycles of Bridge and Lope. The fact that the writers abandoned that organic connection for the sake of the manipulative Thope storyline is the original sad news that Tally fans mourn to this day. Why fans still cling to the Tally hope? Why, despite the years and the insurmountable logistical obstacles, does the hope for Thomas and Sally persist? Because they represented a sense of fresh air and genuine passion in a show that often relies on repeating the same love triangles. They were fun, their light-hearted banter and mutual respect for one another's ambition made them a joy to watch. They were fire, the spark between them was electric, a raw, romantic energy often missing in the more sterile, drawn-out romances of the other main couples. They had a real obstacle. Their biggest hurdle was their family's history, not an endless carousel of partners. This provided a compelling, dramatic, and external conflict that was thrilling. The collective sigh of the fanbase today is for the lost potential of that authentic connection. We've seen Thomas regress into manipulation, and Sally's character has been entirely exported. The current state of BNB's storytelling, focused on familiar pairings like Hope and Liam, and the constant back-and-forth of Ridge and Brooke, feels all the more stagnant in the face of what Thomas and Sally could have been. The final, heartbreaking verdict. The truth, as difficult as it is for the Tally loyalists to stomach, is that Thomas and Sally are in two separate universes now. One is consumed by the corporate and family politics of Los Angeles, the other is navigating high-stakes business and passion in Genoa City. The actor who plays Thomas is back, but the character has a new focus, a darker, more family-centric agenda. The actress who plays Sally is thriving on a different show. The dream of a Thomas and Sally reunion is, unfortunately, one that lives only in the devoted hearts of the fans. It is a story that was prematurely cancelled, a potential happily ever after that was sacrificed for other, less compelling drama. Today's sad news: Thomas is back, but not for the one who truly saw and challenged him. And that lost opportunity is the most heartbreaking spoiler of all. The air in Los Angeles, even amidst the glamour of Forrester creations, feels heavy with a profound sense of melancholy as fans grapple with the latest, and perhaps most devastating, news concerning Thomas Forrester, Matthew Atkinson. In a character arc defined by intense highs and turbulent lows, the saddest current reality is not a single, shocking event, but the abrupt and disheartening erasure of his presence and potential from the main canvas, leaving a critical void in the canvas of the bold and the beautiful. The drama surrounding Thomas has always driven significant story, and after months of absence in Paris, his return was teased with promises of huge shakeups. Yet, the initial excitement has dissolved into a frustrating sadness, as reports confirm that Matthew Atkinson returned on a recurring status, ultimately only appearing in a handful of episodes before vanishing from the screen again. This is the very sad news, not a death or an official firing, but the reality that the character's long-term, complex story is being sidelined, leaving a trail of powerful but unresolved narratives. The unfulfilled promise of a protagonist's arc. Thomas Forrester has evolved from a troubled, manipulative villain to a man earnestly seeking redemption, a shift that captivated a large portion of the viewership. His return was meant to reignite drama across the Forrester and Logan families, but the brief stint has only amplified the questions and the collective disappointment. 1. The disappearance post-Brooke reconciliation. The last significant scene Thomas was noted to have on screen involved him making amends with Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang. This was a monumental character moment, signifying Thomas finally letting go of the decades-long Bridge versus Tridge feud that defined his life. To invest in a character's years-long journey toward growth, only to have him disappear immediately after his moment of peace, feels narratively unsatisfying. Many viewers felt this reconciliation was unrealistic for his complex character, predicting an off-screen reversal that has now been left up to interpretation due to his vanishing act. 2. The unresolved romantic future. Thomas left Los Angeles after Hope Logan, Annika Noel, rejected his second marriage proposal, choosing to distance himself for both their sakes. Months later, he returned briefly only to announce his engagement to Paris Buckingham, Diamond White, whisking her and his son, Douglas Henry Joseph Samary, back to Paris. The sadness here is the abandonment of these crucial relationships. Paris Buckingham, was Thomas married? Did the engagement end? His quick return left this major life change completely unaddressed, a loose end for his personal story. Hope Logan and the Thope legacy. Thomas's brief return coincided with Hope being engaged to another man, Liam Spencer, Scott Clifton, after ending her engagement to Carter Walton, Lawrence St. Victor. Thomas's complex, passionate history with Hope, a connection that broke up her marriage, was barely a whisper. Fans who rooted for the eventual Thope reunion are left with a massive what-if, as his absence effectively removes the most significant romantic obstacle to Hope and Liam's latest reconciliation. The potential for Thomas's epic return to derail Lope's wedding is now just a thrilling possibility that may never materialize. 3. The forgotten Forrester Creations coup. Perhaps the most baffling and sad omission during Thomas's extended absence was his non-involvement in the corporate coup at Forrester Creations. The company he is a namesake of, and the fashion line he co-created, Hope for the Future, was taken over by Hope and Carter. As a brilliant designer whose vision drove the line to record success, Thomas should have been an essential player in the fight to protect his family's legacy. His absence through that entire, high-stakes storyline highlights the show's decision to dramatically reduce his importance, much to the dismay of fans. What's next for Thomas Forrester? The speculation and the sorrow. Given the actor, Matthew Atkinson, is on a recurring contract status, his future on the show remains uncertain, though a return is always possible. For Thomas Forrester. The speculation and the sorrow. Given the actor, Matthew Atkinson, is on a recurring contract status, his future on the show remains uncertain, though a return is always possible. The current speculation, which fuels fan sadness, is that his brief return was merely a temporary plot device, perhaps to comfort his mother, Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, amidst the continuous Ridge Forrester, Torsten Kay, and Brooke drama, especially since his sister, Steffi, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, was reportedly on maternity leave. The potential storylines for Thomas, now tragically left hanging, include the protective son's fury. Spoilers hinted at Thomas unleashing fury upon seeing his father, Ridge, choosing Brooke again. In one reported preview, he returns to Los Angeles and witnesses Brooke trying on lingerie for her wedding night with Ridge. In a dark and threatening confrontation, Thomas vows to protect his family from Brooke, showcasing his signature intensity. However, if his appearances are so limited, this impactful confrontation will be brief, losing its long-term narrative weight. The new love interest. To avoid the Hope merry-go-round, Thomas could be paired with a new flame like Ivy Forrester, Ashley Brewer, or the new Forrester Creations worker, Lainey. While a fresh start would be welcome, his hurried departure has made a serious, developing romance unlikely for the near future. A professional comeback. With the Hope for the Future line having new leadership, Thomas's expertise could be invaluable as a temporary consultant. His return could be purely professional, mentoring the new designer, Deke Sharp. This would be a stable, if less thrilling, path to redemption. The truly sad news is that Thomas Forrester, a character whose complexity made him both hated and loved, a man who broke hearts but was also profoundly heartbroken, is currently relegated to the sidelines. His story of redemption and the promise of a fulfilling life with his son, a new love, and a prominent career are all on indefinite hold. The fan outcry, why Thomas matters. The immediate fan outcry over his disappearance speaks volumes. Viewers found the brief arc almost insulting, feeling that a character with such a huge history, the baby switch, the stalking, the emotional affair with Hope, the redemption, deserved a more complete, thoughtful conclusion to his storyline, not a quiet fade-out. His complexity is exactly what the soap opera needs to shake up the static love triangles. What's next for Thomas Forrester? For now, the answer is a heartbreaking quiet. He is waiting in the wings, a powerful storm of drama and potential that the show has chosen not to unleash. His return to Los Angeles, meant to be epic, instead feels like a brief, tearful goodbye, leaving a noticeable void for every character connected to him. We can only hold out hope that this is merely a pause, and that the brilliant designer and deeply flawed man will soon be back in the spotlight, where the drama, and his heart, truly belongs.